there's a danger in losing the battle for truth. I read this week about what a Tarheel was. And I guess that's important because we're in March Madness, and the North Carolina Tarheels are a pretty good basketball team. They may go all the way. Who knows? So it's important that you know what a Tarheel is. And I discovered this week that the Tarheel, which is a mascot of North Carolina University, came out of the Civil War. And during the Civil War, supposedly, they say in North Carolina, that whenever the fighting got fierce for the Confederate soldiers, that many of these soldiers from other places outside of North Carolina would flee. And they would run past these fierce fighting North Carolina soldiers who stood strong in the fight and had to fight alone. And so supposedly one of the North Carolina soldiers threatened to put tar on the heels of soldiers so they would stick better in the next fight. Now, maybe that's what we need to do to people in the church, to keep them from running, from retreating, from allowing doctrines like this that are preached and that have so much of an attraction to them to be something they run toward, rather than checking out what God says, difficult, hard, whatever it demands of life, and saying, I'm choosing that because that is a word for eternity. And I'm not going to flee because there is a tremendous cost to fleeing. And this is a battle we cannot afford to lose. I also read this week that if you were to line up all the lost people in the world in a line, that supposedly that line would circle the globe 30 times, and that line increases by 20 miles every day. So we have a huge job, and we cannot find ourselves being pulled aside by Satan's strategy and totally distracted from what God is really trying to achieve through the church, and allowing this kind of group, this harvest, not to be reached. But if Satan cannot keep you lost, he wants to keep you from being any kind of threat to him or a threat to winning anybody to Christ. And the way that he can do that is to get you so self-absorbed in your own situation, so intimidated by any kind of threat the world might throw at you, that you become paralyzed for the kingdom of God. And that's what was going to happen to this church. They were celebrating being a church. They had all these things going on, but they had lost the message that changed lives. And they had embraced a self-serving, self-indulgent message that was going to do nothing but just deal with earthly situations, and they would have tremendous losses in eternity.